Hello, I'm Basil John from Nexstar's Washington Bureau, and these are the latest headlines out of the nation's capital Friday. And because it's Friday, that means it's time for the weekly wrap-up where some of our Washington correspondents join me in the stream suite to dive into some of the topics from this past week, as well as a look ahead to what we can expect. And joining me in the stream suite today are Washington correspondents Vinay, Simlot, and Gabrielle Caracciolo. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. We made it to Friday.
It's been a great week.
Has it been a great week?
It has.
You know what? I have to agree with you. It has been a fantastic week. Just for that, round of applause for everybody.
Who gave you that?
I gave it to myself. I have the power here.
Good Lord.
You guys worked hard. I thought some applause is necessary because you guys are grinding it out day in and day out, bringing stories to
we can't
to
get enough people to applaud us, so we have to get a button.
We have to have a button. You know, next thing you know, you're just gonna have like AI applauding you in the morning when you wake up, just for that little pip in your step. Oh, Gabrielle's not a fan of that. But regardless, a lot happened this past week. A lot that we had to keep track of, and I'd say the thing that's a lot of people have been talking about, obviously, is this Iran deal that the president ended up announcing. We're now at this 60 days of what they say was a deal that was a lot of work to have it executed. We saw the vice president holding the White House press briefing yesterday. One, I kind of want to get your guys' reactions to the news when it came out, because I feel like for weeks we had constantly heard from the administration, oh, a deal is almost there. A deal is almost there. And then technically this is now a deal, but Republicans it seemed for the most part, we're not too happy with how things shook out. Vinay, I want to hear from you first.
Yeah, it sounded like Gabrielle wanted to.
I mean, Gabrielle, you can start off first if you want to.
Look, the issue with this deal is, first of all, it's not a deal. It's an MOU, a memorandum of understanding. And there are a lot of opponents in the president's coalition, people who usually support the president, who the president supports on the other end. So congressional Republicans, Senate Republicans specifically, Senator Roger Wicker, who's the chairman of the Armed Services Committee, said it's a bad deal. We should not be in this deal. Right. Senator Ted Cruz said we should not be giving money to the Iranians. Mm-hmm. He was taking specific issue with a $300 billion fund that would help rebuild Iran, and this was part of the MOU. Now, the White House says that this is not coming from the United States. It would be other countries in the region. But Senator Cruz said, regardless, you are giving money to a regime that has chanted death to America. And then you have the Israelis who say that they will go about what they are going to do regardless of what happens in this memorandum of understanding, and they say they are not bound by it. So Israel right now has been locked in this back and forth with Hezbollah. And Hezbollah and Israelis have been trading strikes. Israel says it will continue to defend itself against Hezbollah, but part of this deal is that Israel can't. As we speak Friday morning, there appears to be an agreement for Israel and Hezbollah to stop trading strikes. Yeah. But how long that lasts, whether that kills the chance for a long-term deal, nothing in this memorandum of understanding talks about what happens to the nuclear material for Iran, and that's the reason the president launched the war. That's a big point of contention from a lot of Republicans, especially. Gabrielle, I mean, you've been talking to lawmakers as well this week. I mean, what seems to be the general consensus we're hearing?
Yeah, and even from the Republicans who are supportive of the president and say, oh, this is a good deal, they all give the caveat, but you can't trust Iran to follow through. And so there is this sense of, okay, yeah, we've got the memorandum of understanding. I think the semantics there got a little mixed up because when the president announced this Sunday night on Truth Social, he said, we have a deal, which wasn't quite the case. We have a memorandum of understanding that starts the clock for 60 days of negotiations towards a final deal. When he was asked, he was at the G7 summit this week, and he was asked, is this a final deal? He said, no, we're going to work towards a final deal. So I think some of the wording there has been a bit confusing for people, and it started just with the way it was announced from the president. But Republicans have a lot of skepticism about Iran's behavior. And if you can trust Iran to follow through on anything that is agreed to, the vice president in his briefing spoke about there being kind of a way to dial up and down sanctions relief and things like that for Iran. So if there's good behavior, they get more relief. If there's bad behavior, their restrictions tighten on them. But there's still a lot to be worked out over the next 60 days. And as we've seen before, at any point, any of these deals could much just.
And the Washington Post this morning is reporting that the U.S. intelligence expects that Prime Minister Netanyahu will try to undermine this deal. So the deal includes Israel and Lebanon, but there was no, as far as we know, effort to get buy-in from Israel. And the Israelis came out and when this memorandum of understanding was signed, said that they don't have to abide by it.
In fact, they hadn't even seen it,
Yeah.
they said.
Yeah.
And Senator Warner and a lot of Democrats have said, look, we are giving up sanctions relief and this $300 billion fund to help rebuild Iran in exchange for the possibility of negotiations and in exchange for Iran reopening the Strait of Hormuz. And they said before this war, all of that was there. So they said to end this war, we're having to give $300 billion or figure out how to get $300 billion to Iran.
And Iran, through Iranian state media, is putting out a message to the people there that this is a huge victory for Iran. Now, we're obviously hearing a very different message from the Trump administration, but Iran is trying to tell people, hey, the U.S. is giving up a lot. There's a lot of concessions there, and this is a victory in their eyes.
I mean, I feel like what's also important to note from all of this is the fact that, I mean, the administration is still very much so calling this a big win. And we saw a lot of that from Vice President J.D. Vance when he was heading up the White House press briefing yesterday. We actually have a soundbite from him yesterday talking about the significance of this. I mean, again, with MOU, not a deal, but they're still considering this a win. So let's take a listen to what he has to say.
So on the frozen funds, the amount of money, I honestly don't know. I've heard numbers north of $100 billion. I've actually heard numbers north of $200 billion. Most of it is not in United States accounts. Most of it's either in the Gulf or in Europe or somewhere else. But I don't know the exact amount of money. It's a lot. It's one of the reasons why we've had such a successful chokehold on the Iranian economy, though by not even close to the main reason. We're not releasing a single dollar of that money until the Iranians perform. And there are a number of ways they could perform. For example, let's say they actually take meaningful steps, and this could happen very quickly, to destroy that stockpile of enriched material, then we're going to have a conversation about it. But they have to perform. I've seen some reports, I don't know where this came from, that the Qataris had released billions of dollars in Iranian assets. That's just not true. It would be impossible for the Qataris to do that without our buy-in and certainly without us seeing it. So a lot of this reporting is just fundamentally wrong. They don't get a dollar of unfrozen assets, their money, not our money, but they don't get a dollar of unfrozen assets until they actually perform under the deal. You asked about Switzerland. Our plan is to go to Switzerland. I don't know exactly when. The way that we're setting up this technical negotiation is that obviously you're going to have the political leadership involved. Excuse me. We're going to have people on the ground actually driving the technical talks, the nuclear talks. How do you destroy this highly enriched uranium? All that stuff. That you really just have to get into the nitty gritty on. So, I plan to go to Switzerland. Exactly when, we think these technical negotiations are going to start sometime this weekend. That's still the plan, but that could change because it's not an easy country, Iran, to get out of. And so we're trying to figure out exactly when that's going to happen. I suspect this weekend, but I'm not sure.
I think it's also important to note that there were initially plans by the vice president. He was going to head out to Switzerland, but then obviously those plans were put on delay as Israel and Hezbollah were heading into that ceasefire deal. So it still could happen this weekend, but just for clarification's sake. But he seems pretty positive with how things are turning out. So
yeah, and sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to mention that the president has kind of put a lot of this on the vice president. So the vice president coming out, doing this briefing, he kind of has a lot riding on this because they made him the point person for this. So whether the deal is seen ultimately as a success or as a failure will impact the vice president specifically and his perhaps political future a lot.
And one of the what JD Vance, the vice president, was talking about in that soundbite is this unfreezing of funds that would come, and the release of sanctions that would come, he says, if Iran performs. And that was one of the issues that President Trump had with the previous Iran deal that President Obama struck.
Right.
And then also he had an issue with the president. He calls it the pallets of cash that were sent from the United States to Iran. That was to settle a weapons deal from pre-Iranian Revolution. Excuse me.
You're all good. You're all good.
Got a frog in my throat as the gremlins have attacked, as Bill Nelson used to say.
I mean, it's just interesting to see how things have shaped out so far. My man, I need to get you some water or something. But I mean, how things have shaped out, I don't know if this is exactly how the administration was hoping things would pan out. Would I at least consider this a win if they're able to at least get the Strait of Hormuz open and we're able to see economically, we're able to see some sort of win? And probably.
And we have seen gas prices come down this week.
Exactly.
So that is notable that they have come down. We're below that $4 per gallon average nationally. Not quite where it was before this all started, but that is some relief for people at home.
And the Strait is not open fully. It's not at 100% traffic as it was before this war. And it remains to be seen. Look, the question of whether it's a win or not, we don't know yet.
Yeah.
If there's a nuclear deal and Iran agrees to turn over all of its nuclear material, I think the president will have a much better time selling this.
Yeah.
But right now he is struggling to sell this memorandum of understanding to people on Capitol Hill.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, we're going to have to wait and see how some of that ends up turning out. But let's flip the script a little bit and let's go into some of the stories that you guys actually covered from this past week. Gabrielle, I want to start with you because the way you launched it in when you were going to cover this story, you were very to the point, and it got my attention really quickly. So guns and marijuana from the Supreme Court, from their decision. Talk to me about it. What ended up boiling down? Because
we're getting towards the midpoint of June, the end of June, and this is when we're really on SCOTUS watch.
Yes.
The Supreme Court decisions are typically all issued by the end of the month. Occasionally, they've extended their session into July, but for the most part, by the end of June, you get all of their decisions from this year before they go on summer break. So we have been on kind of high alert, watching out for some key decisions. And this one, while not as big as some of the others we're still waiting on, does have an impact for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Basically, this case involved a Texas man who police were searching his home. They found a gun. They found marijuana. He admitted that he regularly, enjoyed marijuana. Not at the same time as using the gun, just in general in his life. He was a marijuana user on the regular, the way some people probably drink regularly, a couple times a week. And so this charge was added on to some other charges he was facing from a law in 1968 that made it illegal for habitual drug users to possess a firearm. Under this ruling, the Supreme Court says, no, the simple fact that he's a regular marijuana user doesn't make it illegal for somebody to have a firearm. They said that violated his Second Amendment rights. Now, it doesn't mean if you're high, you handling a gun. It just means that if you're a regular, pot user, or you enjoy cannabis in whatever form, you can still be a gun owner. And this was a unanimous ruling. So all of the justices agreed this was a violation of the Second Amendment rights, that marijuana, somewhat similar to alcohol, is not in and of itself a disqualifying factor. Now, this law, when it was passed, was supposed to prevent dangerous people from possessing firearms.
Right.
So if you are a drug addict, there was concern that you should not be in possession of a firearm. You're more likely to be using it when perhaps on a controlled substance. But what gets interesting here is now, of course, on the federal level, marijuana is still not legalized, but it is in many states fully legal. You also have, medical marijuana users. And so there's a whole host of people that could be impacted by this and by the fallout from this. This was also the law that was used when Hunter Biden's case,
Yeah,
where
that's
he
true.
lied on his form about his cocaine use. Now, that's separate. That would still be illegal because it was cocaine.
Yeah, there's a difference
But had
between
it been-
cocaine and marijuana.
Yeah. Because it was cocaine, that's still separate. That would still be illegal. A cocaine addict still wouldn't be able to get a gun under the background check system in this
Right.
case. And if they did, it would be illegal. They could be charged with this. But they're saying there is a difference, basically, from the Supreme Court. There's a difference between those regular cocaine users and somebody who is regularly enjoying marijuana.
And what I found interesting about this case is it's a unanimous 9-0.
Yeah.
But you had 3 different writings in addition to the majority opinion.
Yeah.
So you had Justices Sotomayor and Jackson writing separately. You had Justices Alito and Kagan writing together.
A unique pairing
Wow,
there.
yeah. And they did not sign on to the majority opinion. And then you had Justice Clarence Thomas writing about something else almost entirely. Talking about the Second Amendment.
He's
and
like, I'm
whether
gonna spitball something else right now.
federal gun laws. Just talking about what he feels like talking about. And, that's his right.
That's his right.
There are some of the debate and discrepancy between these different opinions has to do with the test for kind of what makes somebody a danger and unable to acquire a gun, maybe more broadly, less specific to this marijuana issue. And so there's some debate over people saying, well, that whole test should be reevaluated, whereas the ruling was in and of itself pretty narrow in its nature. This really is only applying to people who just happen to use marijuana and happen to have a gun, not necessarily at the same time. But a lot of interesting tidbits. In fact, in part of the ruling, they spoke about, after the signing of the Constitution, the founders going out and drinking a lot, and the bar tab.
My
they got
favorite
into.
2 words: habitual drunkard laws. Yeah. Is there anybody in my life I call a habitual drunkard? I may go see my little sister this weekend.
Dang, come on. You know what? I can't say anything because I would say my older sister.
It's her 26th birthday this weekend, so there will be
she's
some
party it up. There you go.
Oh my!
I wanted to talk to you about it just because I found it.
She
super
doesn't own a
interesting.
gun, by the way.
Look at that. That's an important
Good
detail.
clarification.
That's an important detail.
Yeah.
But Gabrielle, I want to say thank you so much for talking about that. We still have to go to a break though. But when we come back, we're going to talk about how things have turned out with the reflective pool in Washington, D.C., because it seems that there is a special guest inside of the reflecting pool, and I don't think most people were expecting that to happen. That story and more when we return on DC Daily. And we're back on DC Daily. Again, I am joined by our very own Vinay Simlot and Gabrielle Caracciolo. So before we went to break, I talked about a little situation that's happening with the reflective pool. And I went to go check it out. I saw it. It's there. But there is, I get, just to be blunt, there's algae in the reflecting pool now. After millions of dollars were spent to change it out. It was Olympic blue. Was that what they were saying?
So, American flag.
American flag blue. That's it. American
They were
flag
cleaning
blue.
the bottom of the reflecting pool and then repainting it.
Yeah.
And then they've talked about this nano bubbler technology that's supposed to prevent algae from growing in that pool.
Right.
And they've been unsuccessful.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, Basil, as somebody who's lived in this area for a long time,
Right.
taken many trips over my life to the reflecting pool, starting from when I was a child, it has never looked good. It has always looked this bad. There was an effort, like, honest to God, I have seen water bottles, like, on the side of the reflecting pool. I've seen trash all over the place. And the administration, when they have tried across the city to clean up the city
Right.
ahead of the 250th anniversary of the founding of our nation, and been successful in most places. We've seen a beautiful fountain next to Union Station that's now open
Yeah.
and looks wonderful. This is a challenge that I think rivals the challenge of trying to cure cancer.
Oh my
and,
gosh.
trying to clean the reflecting pool. It is just standing water that is larger, as the president has pointed out, than most skyscrapers.
Apples and oranges here.
And how are they going to do this? They made a valiant effort. It was a company from
effort.
A company from Oklahoma came and painted and did all kinds of stuff, laid down epoxy, and we're in the same place we were a year ago.
For anybody who thinks
so passionate.
Listen, at the same time, I completely understand where the passion comes from. I'm not even going to blame him for it because it's true. There was like so much talk, so much expectation that came out of it. It's true. I mean, for the most part, reflecting pool. I mean, when I first moved to DC in 2020, I was like, oh,
I wouldn't touch that water.
Yeah,
I wouldn't go near
not.
it. There's a stench that comes up from the reflecting pool.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but I did have people, 2 weeks ago when it first was filled back up and reopened, people asking, oh, how does it look? How does it look? Because they're seeing all this reporting. And my response to my friends and family, as somebody who visited DC a lot before I moved here, was it looked to me and my naked eye exactly the same as it always looked. Now, some of those photos, you see people putting side-by-side comparisons, and then you look at the sky, and in one photo, the sky is bright blue, and it's a gorgeous sunny day, and in the other photo, it's like a dark, cloudy day, and they're like, look at the color of the water, it's different. And it's like, well, the sky is different. We gotta stop with these apples to orange comparisons, because that's what we're doing with, it's bigger than buildings. Well, buildings are not pools.
No, but just the size of it. It's like, it's so big. There is so much water that you have to clean and protect from algae.
True.
You can't, I mean, you could, I'm telling you, I think we will have a cure for cancer before this pool is cleaned.
Oh,
right,
now I know where I was getting mixed up because I said the Olympic blue before. No, it's because they say it's
American flag blue.
It's American flag blue, but they say it's enough water to fill an Olympic pool.
No,
right?
no.
Or
it's much bigger.
It's much bigger than that.
Yeah.
Okay,
But it's shallower than an Olympic pool, obviously. But
why don't we go take a swimming trip that's illegal?
I was
Don't do it.
gonna say, do not tell people to do something illegal right now. We do not advocate for any of that. I want to make that very clear.
Also, beyond the algae, the other issue here is that new coating that they put on the bottom of the pool is peeling.
Yeah.
Look, they tried. It's the federal budget is
It was a $14 million
$7 trillion. It's a $14 million effort. What they did do successfully is clean up the bottom of the reflecting pool where there had been gunk and algae and all kinds of stuff built up. That was successful. The resurfacing, maybe not as successful. The nano bubbler, maybe not as successful. But you know what? I think it was an impossible challenge. And
I think they should have had Vinay on the advisory board at this point.
I don't know any body of water that's that big that you can just clean in a matter of weeks.
Listen, I mean, I agree with you. I think they have to just take the L on this one.
And the stench for now is gone. We'll see if it comes back.
It might come back. It might come back. Listen, at the same time,
clean up the Potomac, for God's sake.
Actually, I agree with that one. I agree with that one. Well, who knows? Maybe part of the problem was it was the shade of blue that they chose.
Not the right shade.
Yeah, they went with American flag blue. If they had asked me, I would have said they should have gone with Knicks blue. Because, the Knicks won.
Oh, that's why you've been
and
trying to segue.
And that is why my surprise for the very end of the show is
Not
the
a
fact
surprise.
that the New York Knicks had a parade in New York City after winning the NBA championship after a 53-year drought.
I'm surprised that you brought up the video.
Of course I did. They held their parade in New York City, again, 53 years. And I can say that this is part of DC Daily because there's current talks about whether the Knicks are actually going to show up to the White House or not. At first, there were rumors going around that they weren't going to. Their owner, James Dolan, is saying that they will. There's Jose Alvarado screaming on stage.
There's Mike Breen.
Yeah, Mike Breen, the GOAT, when it comes to casting for
the greatest of all
time.
And Basil, you didn't call out sick to go to this parade.
I did not. I did not call out sick to go to this parade.
A lot of people did, but you did not.
I did not because I had a job to do here, but that does not stop me from celebrating. So
if they go to the White House, you're going to try and get your press credential and get over there.
100%, which is why to show my dedication to all to all of this, I brought my jersey with me to showcase.
He didn't plan well. Look at this.
I am so
He's taking
ready.
it out of his backpack.
Yeah, I had it in my
Has to get
bag.
his
I'm
jacket
ready
off.
for all of this. But listen, this is serious stuff. All right.
Nixon 5.
Got my-
Finally.
You deserve it. Enjoy this moment, Basil.
Listen, people. I have said the number time and time
I got
again.
the right blue on over
Oh,
here.
you have a Brunson jersey.
But 53 years, New York Knicks fans have waited. The last time we were in the finals was 1999.
Basil is not 53.
And
Nor
I
I.
was not born then. But listen, guess what? I finally have an opportunity. If they show up to the White House, I will do a DC Daily episode straight from the White House. And I will do my surest to make sure I get Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart to join me for DC Daily. That's how big of a deal this is. So I just wanted to include that in there, and I had to make sure I had some reason as to include it, and that's whether they're going to show up to the White House or not.
Hey, listen,
We
it
are
would
very
be the
happy
first
for
time
you.
in a while
I'm
that
very
the
happy for you.
NBA champions went to the White House, because we see it with other sports. But
Yeah.
in recent years, the NBA champions have opted out of visiting the president's White House. So
Which-
we'll see. If
Yeah,
the
we'll
Knicks
see,
make it
because
there.
the owner is
The only
very
game they
close
lost,
friends.
That
Yeah, that's true. The only loss that they had during the finals
people-
was when the president showed up, and some people were saying that
the
it was
mayor
bad
was
luck.
also there for that game, though. So it just
Also, but at the same time, Carl Anthony Towns' wife was not able to bring her lucky
bag.
bag with her, and
That's her fault.
you know. That,
No, it's because the
It's
president
because of
was
the
there.
president.
They said no bags, so Jordan Woods couldn't bring her lucky bag in. I don't think it had anything to do with the bag or who was in attendance.
I'm just
but
saying.
it was a phenomenal run. As
And can
a
we just
fellow
talk about
New
how
Yorker.
good of a series the officials had? They spot on. They are the best of the best. More than 90% correct.
For anybody who is wondering, Vinay does high school refereeing for basketball, and he's going to slowly climb the ranks in order to become an NBA referee.
No, I'm
at
not.
this point. He's going to become the next
It's
Scott
too
Foster.
late
Vinay
for
is
me. I'm
rooting
too
for
old,
the
actually.
officials, not for the teams,
I
but
am.
for the
I am.
officials.
You can always tell who's there for the officials because they're watching only the officials during the games.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Fine.
But
Well,
Vinay, Gabrielle, I want to say thank you so much for joining me in this week to end this off. And I'm going to end off the episode while I'm in my Knicks gear. I'm still going to say Knicks in 5. I called it weeks ago. I'm going to pull up the recording. But I want to say thank you so much for joining us for DC Daily. And listen, this is just some of the top stories that we had from our nation's capital Friday. And we're expecting more to happen next week. For more news like this, be sure to check out the other videos on our app. From Washington, D.C., I'm Basil John. Go New York, go.